All right, so today we are looking at graphing linear inequalities from standard form. The only thing that we are going to do today are do these notes. Okay, so how it's going to work is I'm going to do 3 problems. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to show you what to do, okay, and go from there. All right, and then you are going to complete the rest of these. They are your practice/homework. Tomorrow we will do the same on this, okay? Now, here's what's going on. The last 2 days we have focused purely on graphing from slope-intercept form. Today we are looking at graphing from standard form. Now, we've already done something similar to this. We did graphing equations last unit. Here's how they tie together. You cannot graph something from standard form. Guess what form it has to be in? Slope-intercept. So that means we need to take it and put it into slope-intercept form, which is y some kind of inequality. Okay, it could be anything there. I'm just circling this just to show you. It could be anything. And then it should be mx plus b. So that means we need to solve these inequalities to get b by itself. The thing is, and the thing to remember, okay, is that there are some different rules when it comes to solving inequalities. Okay, we will talk about those as they come up. So we are going to do examples 1, 2, and 4, and each of those are going to show you something that'll give you a refresher and will help you out, okay? All right. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says the inequality is x plus y is less than 1. So I'm going to rewrite it down here. X plus y is less than 1. Okay, now, what is the goal when you are solving to get it in standard form? You want to get y by itself. Okay? Well, here's what's happening. X is being added to y. How do you undo a positive x? You're right, you subtract it. So you will subtract it from both sides and get y is less than negative x plus 1. This is key for a couple of reasons. Notice, the first thing I did was not write what kind of line I would have and where I would be shading, because it was not in slope-intercept form. However, now I have it in slope-intercept form, so we can get this thing rolling. Now that it is there, we need to answer our 2 questions. Will we have a dashed line or will we have a solid line? Dashed. It'll be dashed. There's no line underneath your inequality. Are you going to shade above or below? Below. That is correct. So we've got those 2 pieces informed. Let's come over here and now find our b value and our m value. What is the b value? 1. What is the m value? Well, it's not negative x. It's negative what number's in front of x if nothing's there? Negative 1. So here's what I want you to remember. That means it's either negative 1 over positive 1 or positive 1 over negative 1. You've got to be able to decipher between those 2. Okay? So now it's all about graphing it. You put your y-intercept in there at the number 1. Now, with the slope, if it is negative 1 over positive 1, that means you go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And you follow that pattern until you run out of space. Now, you know me, I like to put as many dots as possible. That means I could also go positive 1 up and then left 1. And what am I creating? My nice, pretty line. Questions on any of those dots? Okay. Now we've got to complete it. It is going to be a dashed line So we just draw our dashed line all the way through here. Okay? And then they ask you to shade where? Below. So you have to choose the bottom part. So really, for the graphing portion, was anything different than what we've been doing the last 2 days? No, to graph it is not. The only thing that is different or new is you are going to have to remember to move it around and make sure you get y by itself. Okay? Are we good with example 1? Okay. Let's look at example 2. Okay? And I chose example 2 for a very specific reason. I'm going to rewrite example 2 down here so we've got some room to work. 6x minus y is greater than or equal to 3. Okay? Now, can I go ahead and state if it's going to be a solid line or dashed line and shading above or below? Can I go ahead and do that now? Yes. No! Why not? Is it in slope-intercept form? No. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So I can't do that yet. I got to get it in slope-intercept form. Well, that means instead of having 6x, I need to move it to the other side. Well, 6x is positive, so I need to subtract 6x from both sides. Are y'all staying with me? I feel like you're starting to lose me and do other stuff. Stay with me. Close your Chromebooks if you need to. So you get negative y is greater than or equal to, I'll put the negative 6x in front. 3 was positive, so that makes it a plus 3. Here is the issue. Y is not by itself. What is with it? A negative. We need to get rid of that negative. How do you undo that? You divide it by a negative 1. The only way to get rid of a negative is to divide it by a negative, because 2 negatives will make a positive. But if I do it to the y, I've got to do it to everything. So the negative 6x gets divided by negative 1, and so does positive 3. Here is the part that I want you to remember. If you divide or multiply by a negative number with an inequality, you have to flip the inequality. That means instead of it facing the left, it is now going to face the right. Nothing else changes, that just flips. Then you've got to simplify. Well, negative y divided by negative 1 makes positive y. 2 negatives will always make a positive. So now instead of being negative 6x, it's positive 6x. 3 divided by negative 1 makes negative 3. Guess what we just did? We put it in slope-intercept form. So now we can state if it is a dashed line or a solid line. Which one is it? Solid. Now you can state whether it is shaded above or below. Which one? Which way is it facing? Is it facing the y? No. So it's going to be below. Now, here's why I told you earlier that you had to choose from this stuff. Notice it flips. So if you had talked about where it was going to be shaded beforehand, it ended up flipping, you would have been wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Okay. So that is why we have this one. Okay. So now that we've got that, we've got to figure out our b value and our m value so we can graph it. Well, our b value is negative 3. And our slope is 6, which is really 6 over 1. Let's graph these things. Your y-intercept is at negative 3. Your slope is positive 6 over positive 1. So you count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1. And that is actually all of the space you have to be able to create your line. It is a solid line. So you just got to make sure that it goes through the 2 points. Now, this is probably one of the harder ones. It says to shade below. No, it would not be to the left. It would be to the right. Here's why. Think of your little dude. If he were to slide down this, he would have to go on that side. That means over here is above, and we want it to be below. So the below side is over there to the right. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, let's come over here and look at number 4. Okay. I chose number 4 because it's kind of similar to that. All right. So looking at number 4, you have x minus 5y is less than 10. Can I go ahead and do my shaded and above or below? No, because it is not in standard form. We've got to get it there. Well, we got to get rid of that positive x. How do you do it? Negative x. And if you do it to one side, you've got to do it to the other. So negative 5y is less than. Are y'all okay that I'm writing the x in front of the 10? Negative x, it was a positive 10, so that means plus 10. Are y'all okay with that? I write it like that to make sure it's in the slope-intercept order. Now, is y by itself? No. How do you undo multiplying by a negative 5? You got to divide it. And if you do it to one side, you've got to do it to everything on the other side. Okay. Now, what happened? What did we divide by? Negative 5. What do you have to do when you divide by a negative? We just did it. What did we have to do to our sign? You've got to flip it. So that means instead of facing the x, it is now going to face the y. Y'all have got to remember that step. So that means now y is greater than. 2 negatives will make a positive. But 1 divided by 5 is 1 over 5 with an x. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. Now we can decide, is it a solid or a dashed line?
It is a
Dashed line. Is it shaded above or below? Above. Good job. Let's list out our b value and our m value. Your b value is negative 2. Your m value is 1 over 5. They are both positive, so whenever we have to flip that slope, it would be both negative. All right, you have a dot at negative 2 for your y-intercept. Positive 1/5. It's rise over run. Up 1, run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To go in the opposite direction, it would have to be negative 1 over negative 5. So that means down 1 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we can clean it up by erasing those dots. And now it's just finishing out your line. It is a dashed line. So as we go through it, we are here. Then to shade above it, you just got to shade the top of the line. Any questions? Hello. Nothing? Y'all are good? All right, so what that means now is I want you to take these other 7 problems and try and work them out. We will go over this, answer any questions tomorrow on the rest of these. Okay? And then I will have more practice for you on this tomorrow. All right? Ready, set, go.